This week on the podcast, we're joined by Quasar.Exe, and we learn to worship the Lamb. We also discuss the changes coming to Dungeons & Dragons and talk about the Nexus Mods drama. All of that and more in this week's episode of the podcast. Roll the intro.
Hey, yo.
I also want to just thank my ISP for literally the second that I hit the show start button that does all sorts of stuff. It decided that it wanted to start tanking. So guys, of course, if you guys want an uninterrupted and wholly intact show, make sure you join us on YouTube or Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms if you are joining us live on Twitch. Anyways, hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danny K, returning for the first time, real quick. Last week was
I'm so sorry.
Last week was the first time I have never been on the show. Or
Ever.
Yeah.
Wow. If Danny misses a week, we don't do a week.
Mhm.
That's usually how it goes.
So I just want to commend, because I listened the following day. I just want to commend my wonderful and talented co-hosts, Mr. Green Elite and Mendacii, for keeping the ship afloat. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, if buddy. You call it floating. It was like barely skimming the surface. Okay, I tried my best.
We treaded. We didn't take any water on Green. I had the bucket just in case we needed to bail, but we didn't. You kept it going, homie. That's on you. You a master.
I feel like it was not the best of times, but it worked. We made it work.
Hell yeah.
Look, the wonderful and the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite, took the show out of port and then brought it back in. That's what the wonderful and the beautiful Mr. Green Elite needed to do, and he did it. Green, how are you doing today, baby boo?
I gave it a spin around the block, as you would say.
Yeah.
I had to slap the steering wheel and kick the tires. Is that what's going on here?
Yep.
I'm doing okay. I can't complain. How you doing, Danny?
I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here with you guys again. I don't know, should I just gush by the fact that I'm engaged now? Should I just
Is this your official announcement online?
Well, I did put it on Twitter, so.
Yeah, and you also hit it in the middle of a paragraph on your Discord, went out, I had eggs, I had coffee, watched the sunrise, rode on a Ferris wheel, got engaged, ate some cotton candy, pet some dogs, and I'm just like, you what the fuck, mate? What?
I don't know who knew. I don't know who knew more that it was coming, me or your fiance.
Oh yeah, I mean, me and my fiance had discussed it at length if it was right for us, so she knew. I will say, I did convince her that I told her that I had a surprise for her, and I had convinced her that it was a Nintendo Switch, so she was actually kind of disappointed.
Oh yeah, you really deceived her.
No, she did say that she was expecting a Nintendo Switch.
She was shook.
Anyways, we're also joined by the spooky and the ookly Mendacii. Mendacii, how are you doing?
Now kind of wondering and considering if I'm worth more to my fiance than material goods. So thank you for putting that mind goblin in my brain.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
mind goblin,
Oh,
sorry.
We don't bring that on to Next to Nothing, goddammit.
Zombie's not here, man. He's got to be here some way. And that right there, Zombie is a tulpa. He lives in D's nuts. But yeah, no, we're good, man. We're living. We're living.
We're also joined by our queen, Quasar.Exe.
Oh my gosh, hello, hi.
Quasar, for the folks who have not met you before, who are you, what do you do, and where can people find you?
Oh my gosh. Hi, my name's Quasar.Exe. What do I do? Nothing. Sometimes I read. Sometimes I stream. Once in a pink moon I will stream.
Ooh.
But I play a bunch of video games and laugh a lot and try to make my friends smile because that's all I ever want. You can find me on Twitch at Quasar.Exe.
I also hear you have a fancy project in the works that has already done something on like one thing that's now like gonna be on YouTube shortly for the public.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that, Q?
Um, you know, my good friend, Mr. Green, asked me to, be an even better friend and go on this crazy. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's kind of like it's really alt. It's really underground. It's a D&D podcast called VRCana, and it's really good. And I do it with my friends here, and Danny's the DM, and just go watch it because it's really good, and there's way more to come, and I'm excited, super excited.
I'm very excited for this project.
I'm really
It's
excited.
great.
Yeah. Which yeah, we did our session 0 almost 2 weeks ago, live on this Twitch channel, and the session 0 I have it edited and will be up this Saturday at 10 a.m. so you guys can watch that if you missed it. And then I believe our next session is going to be September 2nd.
Yes.
Sign 2?
I believe everyone is signed on.
Tentatively September 2nd. Yes.
Yes.
With caution.
So yeah, the adventure actually starts with this next session. So yeah, get caught up and join us for that. I have been working out some of the kinks from from what I learned from the session 0, which was really nice. And yeah, it'll be dope as hell. It'll be dope.
If you want to see like more of it sooner, always catch the live version. Because we are doing like a stagger thing, because we are only recording once a month ish, roughly.
Yeah.
So if you want to see like a bunch of it, hit it live and then watch it again through YouTube on the staggered release.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
on Twitch, it's going to be pretty raw. Like I'm gonna have like production stuff for it. But on YouTube, it'll be a bit more polished. There'll be a bit more flair and stuff like that. But yeah. Let's before we get any further into the show, let's talk about our question of the week this week, which is, what's something that the gamer version of is always worse? What is something that the gamer version of is always worse in terms of products, like chairs, drinks, accessories, stuff like that? I'm gonna go around. Quasar, what's something that the gamer version of is always worse?
Personally, coming from someone who has like used legitimate like energy supplements, like pre-workout and stuff, I think like gamer, like I almost said juice, gamer like drinks, energy drinks are just always worse. They always have way too much more caffeine. It's lots of freaking sugar, except for the specific brands that don't obviously do that, and they're just sometimes the flavors, the decals, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Almost
Make a
always
crash.
every single one of them is like super chalky and
Yeah. And they don't like, it's like someone, it's like, hey, this is like Sonic and it's blue raspberry flavor. It's like you're watching TV with TV static and someone's screaming blue raspberry from 3 doors down. So it's like I just don't, I can't do it. I can't.
I love that. Oh man.
Can I make a suggestion for like some drink packets? And this kind of goes along to my recent discovery of like my favorite energy drink, the Celsius stuff, but they also sell packets for like water.
Ooh.
And yeah, the Celsius packets are really good.
Like Gamer Mio? That'd be fun.
I think
I've actually switched. I just switched to Mio, the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like
It's
trying to
yummy.
drink that more than soda. I've only bought a 12 pack of soda. I'm only allowing myself a 12 pack a week.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, the Celsius packets have replaced most of my soda drinking. Green, since you were just talking about and you were taking a drink and I really wanted to fuck you up there. What's something that the gamer version is always worse than?
I would have to say, and I've seen this before, the weirdest, probably the hands down the weirdest like gamer version of something is at Five Below. If you don't know what Five Below is, it's like it's a store that like everything is $5 or lower. but that's not actually the case because there's like a few things that are like $20. But anyways, they have an RGB gamer sink, like a
Oh my god.
bathroom
gamer
faucet. It's like an RGB has speakers. Like there's also like toilet RGBs and stuff like that, like a whole bathroom gamer thing. And not only can you tell that it is extremely shitty product, but like it's also like puke RGB, like rainbow puke RGB. Nobody
Does the-
needs that in a bathroom.
Does the B stand for bidet?
Maybe.
Oh.
Real gamer bidet.
Oh yeah. It's the bidet that plays like the Tetris theme song when you activate the bidet.
Love it.
It's one of those like gimmick items that like, and you know that the like a bathroom faucet isn't gonna be good if it costs $10. You know,
Yeah.
No.
like that shit's gonna leak in a month.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll leak rainbows.
Right. It'll
Rainbows,
look good while it's
butterflies,
doing
and
it.
it'll add 50 FPS to your bathroom mirror, dude.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh no.
Mendacii, what's something that the gamer version is always worse?
I'd have to say it's got to be any time that like hashtag gamer brand invades any sort of food or drink item. Like I have nightmares thinking back to 2012, first year out of high school in college. And I was living at my parents' place, and my mom comes home from the store with my dad. They're like, "Hey, we just got all this Gatorade, or not Gatorade, sorry, way different Mountain Dew gamer fuel,
Oh god.
and
Ugh.
it's World of Warcraft, man." And like
Mhm.
there was the blue, and it was Sylvanas, and then they had the orange, and it was Garrosh Hellscream. And I'm like, "All right, awesome, cool, thanks. Yeah, we're totally gonna drink this." And I drank so many Mountain Dew vodkas, and I shit green, literally
Oh
lawn, like fresh cut grass green, for like 2 weeks because it was just sugar and food dye, and that's it. And it was painful. And like we still had, like, they got a pallet. All right. So like 2 weeks later, after I've done nothing but drink water to flush the gamer gunk out of my system, there's still like 90 bottles of this shit just hanging out.
Mm-mm.
And like we brought it out to the deck at one point, and we just like used them to like make soda bombs
Mhm.
and like throw them into bonfires. And then,
Oh
like every once in a while, someone would be like, "Dude, I'm so thirsty," and be like, "There's a lot of gamer fuel left." Like everybody was so done with it by the end of that. It lasted an entire summer.
Yeah.
Side note about weird food things. You guys remember the ketchup that was like purple?
Yeah.
It had like
Oh,
purple
Don't
and
talk
like
yeah,
about her.
the Heinz.
green
Don't talk
ketchup.
about her.
We
Yeah.
don't talk about her.
No.
She doesn't even go here.
No, we don't know who that is.
So this one's gonna be a little weird, but do you guys remember during like all the summer of gaming events, and like a bunch of them were sponsored by Mana? Do you guys remember?
Mana?
Yeah,
Mana?
gamer credit cards.
No way.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yep, there are credit cards and debit cards designed specifically for gamers. They give you points back on gaming purchases, entertainment subscriptions, and everything else. Yeah, but the rates I imagine are not great, and they're probably all designed and backed by big credit card companies to get young kids who are old enough and qualify for credit cards into terrible credit rates. So
You're
yeah,
looking at an easy 26% APR.
Right.
Easily.
It's a great
26%.
concept.
But
It's
up to
just
5
oof.
times points for gaming and entertainment subscriptions. You slay, you achieve, you win. So should your bank account.
yeah,
I'm dumb. Make
So-
sure you never run out of mana.
Yup. So that is what I think is the gamer version of is always the worst version of it. Anyways, let us know what you guys think about that question of the week in the comments of YouTube or in the live chat here on Twitch. You can also tweet at us, Greenlee. Hit him with that Twitter.
It's at Next to Nothing PC on Twitter, and then Facebook is also Next to Nothing the podcast. You want to hit us up on Facebook too? It's there.
It do be there. It do be there.
People use Facebook still,
Yes.
apparently.
No way.
What? Nah.
No, liars.
Q,
Yeah, what's up?
you've been playing Cult of the Lamb, and I think it's fair to say this game has a bit of a cult following. So go on ahead and tell us a bit about Cult of the Lamb. If you want, I can hit them up with some just like overview information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You can go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, so Cult of the Lamb was developed by Massive Monster, published by Devolver Digital. It's available on the Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Windows, and Mac. It's currently retailing on Steam for $24.99 American. And if you want to play it on PC, the minimum specs required: 64-bit processor and operating system, Windows 7 or later, Intel Core i3 3240, or an AMD FX 4300. GeForce GTX 56 Ti, I'm sorry, not 56, 560 Ti or Radeon HD 7750, and 4 gigs of hard drive space. That's what you need to run the game. Yeah. So, Q,
Yeah.
can
what's
you
up?
like describe Cult of the Lamb's like story and premise and like the gameplay?
Sure. It's kind of a fun little ironic play on words because usually the lambs are the sacrificial instead of the leader of said cult. But basically, you're a little lamb that was about to get sacrificed, and then you died, and then this god, in quotation marks, um, kind of took you under his wing. He's like, hey, you know what? I want to get out of here, and I'm gonna give you back the gift of life if you run a cult for me and you help me get out of here. So that's your whole kind of goal premise, is to kind of run a cult efficiently and effectively to where you can um, gain the resources that you need, gain the help that you need, gain the faith that you need to then kind of conquer this land of the old faith that follow these your, I guess, four opponents, which are four other gods that locked this one downstairs.
Gotcha.
What a butthole.
I know.
Those guys
We
are
don't like you. Go down.
those guys are jerks.
Yeah.
So how, like, can you describe like the gameplay? Like, how does
Mhm.
what's like a typical gameplay loop?
For me, it was like combining kind of like a city builder with a roguelite kind of Hades moment type feel almost. So you would come in, you start with X amount of resources. It teaches you how to do everything, and then you kind of start building your little. You have a big plot of land, and you start building your base. And as you get better resources, as per usual with city builders, better resources turns to better mining of said resources, turns to better things to do other better stuff. So you just progressively move through skill trees to help improve the items that you have. Um, and you take care of your followers, which are people that you either pick up from the roguelite aspect of it, where you go out and through these procedurally generated dungeons and get resources, fight different kinds of monsters and whatnot, and then you fight a big boss. Rinse, repeat. But there you kind of have this fun little inscription type of progression where you can pick, from four different lanes. You can pick, oh, I want resources. Oh, I want to go to the store. Oh, I want a new weapon, whatever and whatnot. But you always spawn with a new weapon and a new curse, which is like your typical cast ability. But yeah, a loop I would say is make sure everything's right in your town. Do your sermons, maybe perform a ritual, cook for your people, clean up the poo, and make sure everything's right, build whatever new you need to build, go out, fight a bunch of things, maybe beat the boss. If you don't, go back, rinse, repeat, go back stronger.
Do you think Jim Jones spent a significant amount of time shoveling shit, or
You know, I never perceived how important it was to keep your, keep shovel shit for your followers of your cult. I never knew that that was a crucial thing, but Cult of the Lamb taught me that 5 pieces of poop is way too much.
I heard he made a mean cocktail.
Dude,
Me too.
That's fucking
damn, dude.
awful. Jesus.
Goddamn.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sure he shoveled lots of acid, and
Yeah.
he did have a monkey though. So I mean, he was trying to have and a few snakes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah,
did live every American's dream of killing a senator.
that's true. That's
Mhm.
true. Yes, yes, he
Sorry.
did. And also, we're moving on. So,
Yeah,
Well.
before we get canceled even more. So you're kind of mentioning like the town building aspect and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And you alluded to, and I'm seeing it on the screen here, but there is combat. How would you describe the combat?
Oh,
Um,
super fun.
yeah, is it like it looks satisfying? Is it
It
satisfying?
is. I've always enjoyed this kind of new, I guess it's not new, but it's a lot of people are adapting to it and a lot of people are doing the kind of 2D kind of paper kind of pop-up book style. I love that in indie games. I love that in any game. And it's very satisfying to watch your little lamb roll around, hit these swing a giant axe or hit a giant hammer and or have a dagger and just like zoo 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 and like go the animations themselves are just very satisfying. And on top of that you have this kind of cutesy but dark environment that they did so well on keeping the immersion and keeping that same style all the way through of, hey, this is cute and you're a little lamb and there's a bunch of cute little followers, but you're also killing them and murdering them and being a cannibalist, and there's also like blood circles and sacrifices and you're shoveling poo. So don't forget that they put a really fresh coat of paint on a cult. It's like I don't know how they did it, but they kept the scariness and the icky with the sort of welcomingness of like a cute, soft little 2D almost looking lamb. Um and more. Very cute animals. But yeah, combat wise too, animations love them. The dodge roll is really cute because he just closes his eyes and rolls. And I like the hammer animation as well because with the hammer you have to hold it. Ooh, I hit my mic. You have to hold it and then it kind of hits down after a while, and he just kind of like and then just whacks it down. It's really cute. But yeah, and the curses look really cool too. I don't know if this preview has shown any yet or if it's going to show some, but there's like tentacle ones, freezing ones, giant explosions, lots of fun stuff.
so curses are kind of like spells in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. You get a limited amount to cast. You can increase that through skill tree. And then once you run out, there's this, I think it was called fervor, which is just like the blood of your enemies that you can soak up, and that recounts up to getting a charge. So they come in charges.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Kind of reminds me of Hades in that regard.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's why I always say like think of if Hades and like a little almost Animal Crossing had a baby. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, little Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like it. Yeah, I dig that. I've
Mhm.
been playing a lot more of these kinds of games like the past few years.
Mhm.
And
Same.
so like this was kind of like a no-brainer grab for me, but I just sadly haven't gotten the chance to even start it. It's just hanging out, downloaded in my Steam library.
It's worth it, I promise. It's fun. It's very, I don't know, it's a good time if you enjoy other games similar to it.
Yeah. Well, so you kind of said people who really enjoy these kind of games. Like what kind of person would really like this game? Like what are some other games that are adjacent to this that like if you play X game, you're probably going to enjoy Cult of the Lamb.
Um like I already said, Hades. I think if you enjoyed Hades, you'd really enjoy this. Um what am I thinking? Honestly, it has the same feel of a lot of like cozy games that have
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
roguelike attached to it. But
Don't
it's just a
Starve.
yeah, it just feels like they're like it's not a cozy game, it's a spooky cozy game, but it's like also terrible and you can do terrible things. So
Yeah.
really honestly, if you enjoy like city builders, roguelites, um I can't think of any titles off the top of my head besides. I always go back to Hades because that's the one I've played the most recently.
Right,
I
Hollow
think you said
Knight.
yes, Binding of Isaac. I think you also mentioned as well.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like really indie games that feel. I feel like it just has that indie game feel to it, and it does a really good job of making it almost feel like more.
Mhm. Watching it, I kind of have a question about if someone liked Graveyard Keeper, do you think they would like this
Yeah,
game?
yeah, yeah. I think it's a what do I want to say? Graveyard Keeper can get and things like Graveyard Keeper and Stardew and those kind of long game farming games or long game like kind of maintenance and procuring certain things. You get like a watered down taste of it with this game, but it's
Mhm.
like a good watered down taste. Like it's just enough to satisfy that Stardew itch that I need to farm these things. I need to go do this thing in the loop. I need to get food for this. I need to do your kind of routinal kind of moments.
Yeah.
So I think
That
it
Um
was
satisfies that.
something that I saw that like a lot of people were worried about when it was first coming out, was like how much building, how much town work are we going to have to do? Like how much is roguelite, how much is going out fighting enemies, so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And yeah, from what I've seen, it's like, yeah, no, it's the perfect blend.
It's like having one scoop of everything you like in one little ice cream bowl, and that's
Ooh.
just enough, you know? Like you didn't double up because you wanted that chocolate a lot. Like I wanted a piece of chocolate, I wanted a town builder, and I wanted a roguelite, so I'm gonna have a little, strawberry in there, and I'll have vanilla for some good combat or some extra
Right.
flair, even though vanilla is not flair. No hate on vanilla.
um so I guess the last question I have for you right
Mhm.
now is this game worth picking up right now, or do you think it's worth waiting for a sale?
You know, I think for the 25, I think I got the Cultist edition, so I got the one that's a little bit more. But for the base game, $25, you get if you wanted to get obsessed with this and wanted to take the time and make it last longer, by golly, you sure could. Like you could spend your whole time town building and building up a perfect city with the perfect amount of cultists and a perfect amount of things and barely touch the roguelite and go out every once in a while just for the story or just for some resources. Like you could what I'm trying to say is you could pour as much hours into this as you wanted. So for $25, I say sure. Does 25 sound a little steep now? Kind of. But I think you can make the most of what you paid for it for sure. And it has 100% replayability. Like you can switch the skills you did. You can build a whole different kind of cult. There's like Twitch integration. So like if you wanted to replay it again on stream and play it by yourself and then, have two different saves, you can do that. And the Twitch integrations are fun and cute and cool too. Like how followers can make donations and how they can like do a bid to be named after one of your in-game followers and be in your cult with you. Like I think the interactability with that is also really freaking cool. But
That's really neat.
yeah, I think the fact that they're like, okay, we're gonna think about if this gets streamed, what can we do that makes this cool? What makes this stand out if it does get, big traction and get streamed? And they did the very perfect thing where it's like followers, I think they can use bits, I want to say, to donate, and then you can get that directly to your devotion pool, which helps you level up your buildings, level up, how you progress your cult, and then you can also, whenever you indoctrinate a person into your cult, they can say, "Hey, I want to be named after this person. Put my name in," and then you can also do it manually yourself if you don't have a full stream of just chats going by. You can be like, "Hey, what color do you want to be? What person do you want to be? What variant do you want to be?" But I think it's really freaking cool how they integrated that. But
I
yeah,
see that Zombie had also pointed out that they can use channel points, so there is a free way to do that, which is nice.
yes,
But
correct.
otherwise, like with money, I mean, it's like normal church. Weird.
Yeah, weird how that works.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
crazy how that.
Huh.
But yeah, for back to the off the tangent boat that I was on, $25 for it, I think is very reasonable, very feasible for the quality of game you get too, and the consistent patching they've been doing after, I've been seeing, bugs that I haven't even encountered just get immediately patched within 24 hours. So yeah,
That's
and
sick.
replayability too as well. The Devolvers, I love them, but yeah, that's just bias at that point.
Yeah, yeah. But they've been doing really good. They've been grabbing nothing but winners lately. So
Exactly.
it's nice to see yet again another winner.
Yeah. I like this game, and Massive Monster did amazing on it. I think the hybridness and the fluidity and that fun gray line that they dance on between like spooky, very borderline moral things and just a cutesy little fun game. It makes it very receptive and very fun. So
Hell yeah. Anything else on Cult of the Lamb?
not unless you guys have questions for me. No.
For me.
No, I think you've answered all of my questions.
I
Pretty
think
thoroughly.
I just have one.
Sure.
Did you have more fun building your town and maintaining it, or going through and doing combat and leveling up and like building your lamb cult leader?
Um I think honestly it was kind of equal,
Nice.
and it kind of helped too that there isn't, I mean, there's like fun little side things, side quests you can do, and you meet like there's extra parts of the world and different characters that you can meet too that can help, change your fleece, which is like your little overcoat thing that does even more different abilities, or like different more has more negative or positive effects to the kind of roguelite aspect of it and different roles for that. But I think overall it was kind of very equal for me, and there's a lot more to it. I guess I did forget to talk about that too than I expected. Like different areas you can visit just besides go roguelite, come back, fix your town, go roguelite, come back, fix your town. I don't know. There's fun mini games, there's new characters, other little small cults that you can invade, kind of that kind of thing.
Dang.
Yeah. It's a big burger to bite into.
That's all I got then.
Big, juicy lamb burger.
Mhm.
Do you guys want to talk about 1D&D?
Oh boy, do I.
D&D One.
There is only
One
one.
D&D.
There
The
is
official
but
name,
one.
yes.
6 of them.
One D&D to rule them all.
Mendacii, this is all you. Tell us what 1D&D is.
All right. So, being that Queen Q here also has several years of experience DMing, I'd like to tackle this massive subject with her. And then, obviously, you two just like throw questions at us and everything like that. But I've got a nice, fine list of the most notable changes that WoTC, or Wizards of the Coast, is bringing to one D&D 6th edition. Let's just call it, a horse a
Call how it
horse.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're going to go ahead and start off from the top of my list, which are changes to D20 rolls out of combat. All right. So a nat 20 on any check is an automatic success. Now, a lot of tables do use this rule already. It's always been just a like table rule. It's a house rule. It's just now being added to the player's handbook, which means it's codified. It's mainstream and printed. So now it will be seen as against the grain if a DM does not like using that ruling, because basically you'll be able to see a lot more goofy asks from less reserved players. So there's no cookie jar specifically out of reach, and this also applies to ability checks and saves in combat as well. I typically have been using natural 20s for saves because it's like you don't necessarily want there to be a way to like, yeah, sorry man, like this is gonna suck. You're fighting an ancient black dragon, and you might, take 20d6 of acid damage here. But if you get, a nat 20, it's something, kind of nice, like, oh my God, explain how you literally run up the wall and backflip over this jet stream of acid. So those kinds of things I've always used. But as far as like nat 20 on skill checks and everything like that, like, no. If you just picked up the blacksmith hammer, you're not gonna make a holy avenger. Like, that's just
Amen.
not how that goes. But
Mm-hmm.
Q, what's your take on this?
I completely agree with you, and I do the same thing as a DM, and I don't expect it as a player, but like I tend to be like, okay, this is probably how it's gonna go. Because for me, it's always been if you now 20 a save, like especially, sometime in combat, like that means by the grace of all the gods in the sky and the percentile on the dice, you have done something amazing. You flipped over that stream of acid, if you will. You dove under this ancient blue dragon, and you don't know how you did it, but you did.
Mhm.
And that's what the universe said that you did at that point. That's what the dice said you did at that point. But like, kind of like what you're saying outside of it, like for me, if you had no freaking idea that this fountain was gonna turn into a secret door, and you roll a nat 20 on perception, or if you just picked, like you said, if you just picked up the hammer, you're not like it's kind of like it's nat 20 plus what for me? That's my question that comes out of my mouth.
Exactly.
Nat 20
Yeah.
plus what? Because like that to me, narratively, I think of that as like, well, shoot, if they get a nat 20, like this has got to sit at like a 28, because like if they get past
Mhm.
that, then they really saw that. But yeah, I kind of sit in that same seat with you on like you just picked up a throwing axe and you threw it across the way and it hit the target right in the thing. Like, come on now. That's
Right.
it feels narratively clunky, and it
It
feels
does.
fluidity. Like it's just like then kind of like what you said. This turns into a snowball spiral of
Exactly.
or it's like, okay, well now people are gonna be like, well, I rolled nat 20 on if I spawned wings out of my back, so I can do it. Like, no, you can't do
Yes, exactly.
that.
And
Like,
and being that it's a 20-sided die, that means that there is always a 5% chance for critical success in all rolls. And
hmm
as we do go through these other changes that they're bringing to 1 D&D or 6th edition, whatever you want to call it, you're going to see that the probability of this happening is going to be exceptionally high going
yep.
forward. The rule changes here are literally, I really hate to say it because it sounds elitist and I don't want to sound like a punk bitch, but I've run a lot of games. I haven't played in as many games as I've run by a long shot, but I've seen some pretty goofy shit when you give like, a mouse like a cookie. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna turn into that. I can see it going way out there. But that's just it, is that knowing that, like, all players knowing that, hey, this is a rule in the player's handbook. It says if I roll a 20, that's a critical success. I get to
hmm
do the thing. And like, instead, like, it says, hey, don't be afraid to make things impossible and just tell them no. And it's like, yeah, but what you're doing is you're setting up, you're ruling and codifying that
Yeah.
there is now a ground to stand on for players to actually argue with their DM. I rolled a nat 20. Give me the thing. And then the DM is now put in a position in which they're like, no. Something that Brennan Lee Mulligan had said a long time ago that's resonated with me a lot is, do not have your players roll for anything that you are not 100% comfortable with them either succeeding or failing.
Amen.
If and like it, that's it. That should be like number 2 right there. Like, make it fun and then think of that, because that right there will build all of your physics and all your expectations from your players.
And your story
This
building too.
Exactly. This right
hmm
here throws that the fuck out the window, or it at
Yeah.
least makes it a lot harder on the DM.
Yeah, because you can't say like kind of like what I was alluding at, like if they roll a nat 20 on perception on the fountain, like then you can't say
Yeah.
like, well, you didn't see the secret lock that was hidden in the third tile on the back where the fountain is not spreading out of. But at that
Hmm.
point, it feels like you're implied to, because it's an automatic success, and then you know you can't
Yeah.
argue it now because it's in the book and the
Yep.
book matters.
And you can take the 3 pages of notes that you had that were going to lead them to finding this cool clue and
Out
make
the
it
window.
thematically, yep. Just throw it out, throw it over your back. So, do you have any more on this little note?
No, just that I grieve that
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. I'm really sorry to hear it. There's not a lot
Yeah.
of positivity flowing around the more like higher notoriety kind of changes that people have been seeing. I'm sure that by the end of the year they're going to be seen as very notorious, and I would be remiss to say that we probably won't hear some public words from people like Jeremy Crawford in the coming weeks regarding some of these things.
Yeah.
So talking about yes, what's up, Danny?
Real quick, just in terms of like Wizards of the Coast, Jeremy Crawford seems to take some things well enough. I am
Mhm.
actually afraid to see what like D&D devs say.
Oh, yes.
I have one in my head in particular who I don't think he's well liked by the community because he is just an asshole.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. And
Like
he's been with the company for over 20 years.
yeah, I think it got to the point where they because I haven't noticed him tweet or anything like that in a while. So I think it probably got to the point where people told him to just knock it off.
Yep.
And it was different different stuff, and he also seemed to stick his foot in his mouth with like good intentions, but I do
Yes.
actually have concerns about like how Wizards of the Coast is going to respond to the criticism, because
Mhm.
if that particular person is a any indication of the rest of the team,
Right.
it might not it might get really ugly.
Right. I mean, you have Jeremy Crawford out here, which, by the way, if that name doesn't mean anything to you, he's the lead designer of Wizards of the Coast Player's Handbook for D&D. I mean, like, you could literally, if you have a question about something that's written and the way it's worded, literally write Jeremy Crawford and then your question, and it will probably come up with your question being answered by him on Twitter already, probably 5 years ago. There's like his Twitter is kind of like the amended version of the player's handbook, it seems.
Yeah.
So, um, do you have anything, Q?
I just also hope they stand by their word of this whole idea of playtesting
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and what like they preached about in the video. They're like, okay, well, we've had good success listening to the players before and the DMs too. So like, I just hope that they stand by that and they don't let pride or throwing these crazy ideas out and then maybe expecting them to be taken well like get in the way of what's really happening, whereas people are like, please don't do this.
Yeah.
With
Sadly,
love, us.
the thing is that first note there, like that's one of the more minor changes. Like the next
Yeah.
one is probably going to knock a lot of people's socks off. Before I go there, Green, did you have anything on this note?
No, no.
Okay, splendid. Well, fucking buckle up because there's more changes to Nat 20s, being that enemies can no longer critically hit players anymore. They can just auto-confirm hits. Not that many PC AC scores, AC and PC. I'm using lingo and jargon. You're probably getting lost, and I apologize to that, dear listener. PC is a player character, AC is your armor class. Armor class denotes how hard you are to hit. So you have to roll a d20, add up a couple numbers, and if it goes over someone's armor class, then you land a blow, and you get to roll damage. So, most player characters' armor class numbers aren't much higher than 20 in the first place, not in 5th edition anyway. There's also the note here that spells that require spell attack rolls can no longer crit. So, if you have to roll a d20, add some numbers to hit with your spell, because it was an attack roll, in the base rules of the player's handbook, your spells could crit, which means you would do double damage. Not anymore. Same thing goes with sneak attacks. Because sneak attacks were indeed an attack roll, your sneak attack damage could double, though you could only do your sneak attack once a round. There hasn't been anything added here as far as Hunter's Mark, which is another ability, typically that being a part of Ranger, unless you go down a couple other weird paths. Um, there's a previous tweet, again, from lead designer from Wizards of the Coast in regards to the Player's Handbook, Jeremy Crawford, in 2018, regarding rule clarification, for what can crit on a nat 20, which read as follows: critical and critical fail apply to attack rolls for both spells and weapons. No other rolls can crit or critical fail, including ability checks and saves. The requirements for it being you have to roll to hit, right? I.e., Magic Missile and Fireball are not able to critically hit. Magic Missile always succeeds at hitting your target unless they are not on this plane. And then Fireball is a dexterity or, depending on what edition you're playing, reflex save. So, yeah, that's huge. This to me, again, not to sound like a jackass, but it feels like you have put up the bumper rails. You can no longer get a gutter ball. You can no longer, like, having an enemy not be able to crit you takes away from some of the urgency and agency of players in combat. If you know that something can just automatically hit you and it's scary because it rolls like a d8 and it adds 4, like that is way less scary than, hey dude, I know you're level 2, here's 2d8 plus 4, you might fucking die right now. You know, like, that's cool. That's crazy. That is what D&D is. And when you've already streamlined the system so much to be able to allow people to hop in, and you've got modules that like things are supposed to be pretty well baked and kind of set up for you to take away some of the dangerousness of it. It's like, who are you trying to protect? Like the fictional like person that I made up and put on a piece of paper? Like, come on, man. I'll just have his brother, his sister, his cousin, his auntie, whoever, like, come in next. Like, I don't know. To me, it's goofy as shit. And then obviously it's a big obvious debuff to many spellcasters, to rogues. Rogues are gonna get out DPS like a mother. I'd like to see what else they're changing with rogues, just to see if
counteract, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no way. For anyone that watched Critical Role, especially in that first season, imagine if Vaxel Dan couldn't fucking crit on sneak attacks. How many more rounds would some of those fights have gone? How many of the Vox Machina would have died? Just kind of trying to pull from some of the zeitgeist. People think about things that they have witnessed or experienced themselves. This right here, I can see it in long run bogging down, slowing down combat as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't crit as a DM, that's at least, I would say, on average, 2 or 3 rounds. Because I'm just hitting at base damage. Like, I'm hitting for, I mean, if you're powerful, like 10s, 20s. I mean, 20s on a good roll too. Like
my house rule, my house rule is that rule doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I'm yeah, and I don't think, and I I DM players that I don't think would complain that rule doesn't exist either, because they've been so used to it for so long too. Like, that's just kind of, I don't know. It's like you're taking the power out of God's hand, but like at the same time, like if they're gonna be able to hit our NPCs with crits, given less now, but like I don't know. It's just, I think it takes away from the flow. It takes away from the urgency, like Mendacii said.
Yeah.
Like if you're not scared that this dragon's gonna hit 20 on an acid spray and kill you all with one dice roll, then you're not scared of the dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the less reserved players will go in with a little bit more like wanton, destruction in mind.
Recklessness, yeah.
Exactly. Like, oh yeah, that's another thing, dude. Like, imagine the barbarian never having to worry about getting crit, even when using reckless attack and giving the other person advantage. Like, what are you gonna do at most? 4 damage because I'm raging and I have resistance?
And you have, yep, exactly. Like, it's
like
just
insane. Insane.
It changes the entirety of combat, and just
Yeah,
how it goes and what it does.
exactly
Like,
what Danny said though. Like, house ruling is this rule does not exist.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
fuck that.
every table is gonna have that, so at that point it should be written canon. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking ahead here. They
Uh-huh.
they made a change to inspiration.
Yes. So inspiration has been regulated in an attempt to train or make DMs give it more often and encourage players to use it more often. For instance, every time a natural 20 is scored, the player automatically gets inspiration. That is out of the DM's hands. The player is given inspiration via the game's ruling. And humans, as a new racial trait, get it after every long rest. And I sure wish I did, Danny.
Yeah.
I sure wish I did. There's not much inspiring about that. Inspiration should be given when the DM or the party is inspired by a player's actions. That is the whole goddamn thing. Or bardic inspiration.
Yeah, it's a reward for. Well, I don't even think of bardic inspiration as inspiration. I think it's just two similarly termed things.
Mhm.
But yeah, inspiration to me should be a reward for doing something. It should not be an automatic gimme.
Yeah.
But to be then fair, about training DMs to do it, I am really bad about giving inspiration, and I know players who are really bad about remembering they have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So
It's a toughie. It's one of those that you kind of forget about, but it could be very crucial in
yeah,
some moments, as we've seen with various live D&D shows. Like sometimes that saves your life,
yeah,
or
Mhm.
saves you from, or helps you kill something that eventually,
yeah.
saved your life.
Also, if inspiration worked the way it worked for me, you would
Mhm.
get inspired to do something at about 10:30 p.m. at night when you
Yeah.
are supposed to be getting down for bed, because you work, in the morning. That's when inspiration strikes me and want to actually do shit. So,
What you need, Danny, is to use Pathfinder, at least first edition. Get yourself a ring of sustenance so you only need to sleep for 2 hours, never have to eat, and never have to drink water. And then you roll your craft check for a full 8 hours at 10:30 p.m. And then when you wake up 2 hours after you finish, you're ready to tackle the day. You're up there spry just like everybody else. All that for like a measly, like I think 2,000 gold pieces. Why not? But yeah, that's not how it works, sadly.
I,
Yeah, it's something that can be dealt with at the table. Every you don't need to put your fingers in the inspiration system, which is already analogous enough.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Mm,
feats, changes to feats.
yes. Feats are no longer optional. In lieu of taking and increase your ability scores, instead you start off with your choice of a feat. So at level 1, you get a feat, and you will gain more as you progress in levels alongside the class abilities you've always gotten through general progression. Humans also get a bonus feat at level 1, and I'm going to assume that other classes will get bonus feats as part of their class features. This right here is a page straight out of Pathfinder. This is exactly how Pathfinder works and has worked for the past, oh god.
A long periodically time.
Yeah, about like 14 years. So yeah, that's literally how it always has been. Obviously 3.5 did something quite similar to that as well. And when feats showed up in 5th edition, they were incredibly busted. Um,
I was about
really,
to
really
say.
fucking wild. Yeah, and like you could either choose to grab a feat or increase one of your stats by 2 points, or two stats by 1 point each. Which it's like, you should probably grab the feeds. It's just a better idea. You just grab magic items for the other stuff later. But like whatever. Yeah, that's wild. Like, you're changing your entire progression system for every class. So that's a ton of rebalancing. That's an entirely different way to build a class and character.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
notes on that, y'all?
No, I guess that one I kind of like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it
I
will
agree.
certainly make. I think it certainly makes character building a little bit more dynamic. It
Yep.
makes character building quicker. too, right? Because how many times have you like started a campaign, get like 3 sessions in and only hit like level 3?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, by that point, I've only, uh, I've only just chosen my archetype or my druid
Subclass,
circle, or
whatever it
yeah,
is.
whatever my
Yeah.
subclass is. So
Mhm.
I actually kind of like that. It lets you actually play around with builds a little bit more. But
Yeah, right away. And obviously, like, more choice is never a bad thing until you get to Pathfinder being out for 14 years and realize that you're drowning in them.
yeah,
Yeah. What do you think, Q?
Yeah. I'm right with you on that. Um, I always giggle that I just always note how humans get all these fun, cute little buffs because they're
Yeah. Yeah.
humans.
You should see what like the insane things are that they get as like their new like racial traits, because it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah, yeah,
Um it's bad. Like
it's
human
bad.
OP.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's see here.
they're just like,
Okay.
yeah, play humans
I
because they
mean,
get all this, and everyone's like, but there's dragon people.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I could be a cat man.
Right, I could fly if I wanted.
Mhm.
So
Do
So
you have
what?
anything else, Danny?
No, I was actually just gonna ask you about the next one, which was like what's going
Speaking
on.
of ability scores,
Yeah.
yes. So you no longer get any sort of ability score increase that is tied to your race at the beginning. Like when you choose your race, when you build your character, there's typically like, hey, this one gets +2 to their wisdom and +2 to their constitution. Something like that. Fifth edition had taken away what they had done in previous editions, where you would typically have 1 or 2 positive ones, and then you would have some other stat that goes down by 1 or 2. So they'd already thrown that away. Now, your chosen origin for your character will no longer give you a stat bonus. That is just going to be racial abilities and things. Your stat modifier increase is going to come directly from the background that you choose. So we should be expecting a lot more different backgrounds. You figure there are 6 different stats. So 6 times 6 for 36. We should be seeing, at least at the start, 36 different background choices in order to actually meet a combination of 2 stats getting an increase together. So if you want strength and intelligence, we should see a background for that. So if they really, really want to check all their boxes, we need 36 background choices right off the bat. Any questions on that one?
No,
a lot.
nice and concise.
Yeah. So, yeah. What? Did I hear
I said
something?
that. I said that's a lot, but that's all.
Yeah. 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 Right now, background choices just give you like neat little, hey, you're good at this skill, or hey, you get these tools, or have some extra languages. So for them to be tied directly to that, it's also going to be one of those things where it's like, maybe I want strength and intelligence being up, but I really hate the fact that this says that, I don't know, I used to beat people up for, a mage, like an old mage, like I was some sort of bodyguard at a mage's tower. Like, I don't want that, but I want the stat increase. Like, that right there is not cash money. So anyway, speaking of races, half orc and half elf are no longer playable races. There's speculation that orc will become a core race finally, and that there will be lineage options if players would like to choose to be of 2 or more different origins. There's also been a lot of talk in the TTRPG social circles to rid the game, of the terminology race in regards to the various origins and descent of the player characters. What do you guys think about that?
Who
That is a sticky conversation. That is
it
very
is?
sticky. Um, I don't know. I have a feeling that nobody's gonna be happy in that
Yeah.
discussion. I've
Mm-hmm.
already seen people not happy in that discussion. Like we've talked about it
Yeah.
before, or at least I think we've talked about it on my streams, where people are like mad that because they had already started undoing some of the ability score stuff
Mm-hmm.
with Unearthed Arcanas, I believe.
Yes.
And people were not happy about that. And my response has always been, uh, it's your table.
Yep.
You
Yep.
do what you want to do. Um, But yeah, in terms of the lineages and stuff, it kind of I kind of like the idea. I think a lot of the issue around it has been the language that Wizards of the Coast uses that can be considered probably problematic in some way.
Fairly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where a
Exactly.
lot of the discussion has been. But in terms of like just the freedom that the idea of like take maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things and kind of, you know, piece it together, I kind of like that idea, but I think a lot of the issues around it has been certainly Wizards' own language and description of it. And that's something I haven't dug deep into it. I don't have much else really to say about it.
Yeah, assumably half-orcs were always the progeny of a sexual assault, typically brutal, because that is how orcs are described. They do not have any sort of civil union with any other race. They are tribalistic, they are warmongering, and completely uncivilized. When that again is using just D&D's ancient fucking lore, that hasn't really been updated much. They're just like, this is just how it always has been. When in fact, you could just say, as far as a half orc goes, one of your parents was an orc, or maybe your granddad was, or whatever. People always kind of forget that when it says half orc, you immediately think like, all right, one part this, one part that, but it's like, with the tiefling, it says somewhere in your lineage, in your bloodline, there's fiendish or devilish blood in the bloodline. And you are essentially a mutant. You are Nightcrawler from X-Men. And that's just how it goes. So,
real
yeah.
quick, for anyone who like my my tiefling origin that I use, like that I do to make it not sound so problematic of, but is usually like you are the progeny of a bloodline cursed.
Yeah, I mean, like that
Yeah,
that works.
That right?
works
It's not
perfectly
your
fine.
it's not your fault, right? You
Mhm.
are born the way you are because you have been cursed in some way,
Mhm.
in that, you know, it's just been passed down. Or maybe you were just a really bad person and you were cursed, and that is your um punishment. And that could also just be like a way to be like, yeah, I have like, I was a greedy prideful person, and so the spirits made me grow horns out of my fucking head and turn my skin green, and
Yeah.
now I have to
Yep.
figure out a way to reverse. I now have to figure out a way to reverse it or live with it.
Right. Or
Like,
like you were literally born a baby and then shortly after birth, something bad happened to you because of something your dad or your mom did. Like there's 2 million ways to spin a thing. The issue comes in my opinion is that people over at Wizards of the Coast feel it completely necessary to write things down to a finite end. With a half orc, you could literally just say someone in your family was an orc, and that's it, and leave it at that.
yeah.
Yeah. And then leave the rest, the choices that make up the player's history and their origins, to the player.
No way.
Yeah,
Stop. That makes so much sense.
right. So does anyone else have anything else on this?
I think you summed it up very well, and
Thanks.
you talked about all the points that I wanted to touch on too. It's just like, at the end of the day, it's your table. It's
Mm-hmm.
your player's choice. It's your flavor choice. Whether how that aligns up morally to you at your table is up to you.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to represent the rest of us or not represent so it's like,
right. And as a player, like if you don't like the choices your DM makes, if they make you uncomfortable, definitely
then
walk
leave.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are actually many DMs out there that would love to have you at their table that probably have like minds and would love to help you have a great time. So let's move forward. So things look to be taking notes from 4th edition in that they want more active abilities rather than passives. 4th edition was literally drowning in active abilities, once a days, once an hours, racial abilities, class abilities, pact abilities, everything and anything, man. There were so many. It was like playing an MMORPG on paper and pencil, and it was literally it would give you hemorrhaging on the brain. So they're adding active abilities tied to the origin. Excuse me, tied to the origin choice, like I had said. For instance, humans getting inspiration. We already know about things like Theory of the Small. So think about more options like that. There's not a whole lot of meat here yet. This is, again, just a little bit more conjecture in what they were talking about in their playtest materials as far as their changes that they were making to races. So not a whole lot to cover there. So I'm assuming probably no questions there.
No.
No. I feel like it's
Okay.
just like a projected thing, like, hey, they
Yes.
want more of this, so I
Yes.
mean, if they wanna add more, by all means.
Right? Yeah. It's just like as soon as you get past level 10, you're going to have a busy ass character sheet. So
Yeah,
adding
you're gonna
more
have
things.
the equivalent of,
Yeah.
like, bars and cooldowns at that point, so
Oh yeah, buddy. We're going online.
Yeah.
So let's see here. The next big thing is spells. Obviously, spells can no longer crit, but other than that, they are also split into 3 separate groups: arcane, primal, and divine. This is also literally pretty much as Pathfinder. So anyway, simply put, your arcane spellcasters like wizards, bards, artificers are all arcane casters. Clerics and paladins are divine, and druids and rangers are primal. The only difference here is in Pathfinder, they literally just do divine and arcane, and if your powers aren't coming from like the weave, if they're coming from the planet or, from a god, they're divine. So anyway, there are obviously more caster classes to be split up and kind of put into their separate little fields, but this is the gist of it. Moreover, there are currently 2 very big changes to crowd favorites. Eldritch Blast is completely missing from the Warlock spell list, and there are no healing spells in the Arcane spell list for the Bard, which says, uh-oh. As this is kind of a major component to the class, being supposed to be a Jack, Jacqueline, or Jackie of all trades. Um, what? Yeah, it's just word vomit at this point. Some of this is currently conjectured as there are no classes added to the playtest materials that WoTC has distributed, but so we don't know for sure Z's, but that's what it looks like. So be prepared to have spells that are going to be split into these 3 different categories, know what kind of caster you are, and then see monsters or enemies and items that boost and get resistance from 3 different kinds of schools. So this will probably take veteran players for a little bit of a loop and kind of maybe spin them towards making a little bit more of a diverse party, which not necessarily a bad thing, but again, when you have everything nice and simple and you just have spells, um, you're able to just kind of be like, party makeup is whatever. Do we have a healer? Neat. That kind of thing. So what's
Exactly.
your guys' take on this?
Yeah.
Eh.
I'm right where you said that, yeah. It's
Yeah.
party makeup, sure, but, like,
Hmm.
now you don't need it. Ha!
Yeah. Yeah.
Have
What
fun.
about you, Danny?
I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper into it. First off, no Eldritch Blast for on the Warlock spell list at this moment. Sad Warlock noises. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That's literally the entire class, so
Yeah, absolutely, no question.
um,
that's how the whole thing works. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not like super stoked on that.
yeah, no, it's not good. That's just like straight up
Yeah.
no bueno.
Um,
So
yeah.
yeah,
To keep time, can we get to the last 2 here?
Yes, yep, that's what I was just about to do. So grappling is vastly changed. You can now grapple by succeeding an unarmed strike against your opponent's AC. So remember that you can crit succeed this by the current ruling. And then grappled opponents must succeed at a save against an unknown quantity at this time, but it will likely be tied to the grappler's strength mod and their proficiency bonus. The save is also a free action at the end of their turn every turn. Attacks against anyone other than their grappler are made at disadvantage, like they currently are. And we don't know for certain yet if the grappler is still considered to also have the grappled condition, and therefore be at disadvantage against the person they're grappling. The grappled foe can also succeed at a push unarmed strike against the grappler's AC to push them 5 feet away and escape the grapple. So, like, this is going towards Pathfinder's CMB, which is a combat maneuver bonus and a combat maneuver defense. Basically, you would roll your combat maneuver bonus and a d20 to see if you beat that person's defense. If you succeed, you grapple them, you trip them, you disarm them, you know, whatever, what have you. And if you are grappled, you would roll against that. So obviously, when you have stronger monsters, like let's say a dragon fighting a monk, and the monk has flurry of blows, and any unarmed strike can be traded out for a grapple.
It's a lot of
You'd
unarms.
Yeah. And like let's say we're like at a point where we have 5 strikes and we want to grapple the dragon 5, like we're going to attempt 5 times until we, you know. So if we hit its AC, the dragon is grappled unless they actually put in a size ruling. And the dragon will have to beat the AC of the monk, which might be hard, might not be. Because it no longer has anything to do with the dragon being like, I have a strength of 20 fucking 8. Goodbye. You know, I roll athletics, I get a 37 piece, you know, like something like
Right.
that. So this is going to need so much more structure, and it's so weirdly out of balance that it almost balances itself out.
Yep.
So, I don't know. What do you think, Q?
I think it needs a little, I don't want to say tweaking. It needs a little bit more. We need to dive into the trees more with this kind of rule because it needs more, how do I want to put this? More barriers
Sauce.
to help keep this all in. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like this is a really big like ask. This is a really big like huge, like throwing 20-pound weights on each side. Like that's like a lot of tilting of the scales, and I think it needs to be either toned down by sub rules or, you know, other things, other conditions that go against it or go with it, or it just needs to be tweaked to where it isn't almost as
Yeah.
crazy as it is because it
Yeah.
just feels crazy.
Human monk with inspiration every single day and on natural 20s gets inspiration. You're going to see human monks flying out of the woodwork left and right, grappling
Yeah.
everything to death, dude. It's going to
Yeah.
be nuts because all they need is a level in rogue, and then the rest of the levels are in monk, and now I grapple you, and now I'm going to attack you, and because I have like technically disadvantage advantage, you might even be able to like work that out, you know, and get
Yeah.
sneak attack. So there's probably going to be feats at least, you know, hey, when you attack a grappled foe, you get to apply your sneak attack damage. And even though that can't crit, you get your sneak attack damage on top of that. So see a lot of people going like prison yard in DnD One for sure. Anything
Yeah.
else on that one?
It's
Nope.
bringing in a bunch of meta builds.
Yep.
That's all.
Self-destroying. So lastly, there's just a ton of reworking being done to the feats in general, and of course having new feats introduced. That means you have to rebalance all your old feats, because otherwise you can make incredibly busted shit like we were just talking about, as a way to bring many more options to the players now that they will be getting to choose a feat in their general level progression. I want to see a battle master grappler with just daggers, and then just reposition and reposition and reposition and goading attack, and good luck. You're now stuck in a whirlpool of doom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of fun, more meta builds, like I said.
Yeah. it's just going to be annoying, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's the big things for DnD One right now. The internet is not having it. They're not stoked.
It's not very
It's not
cash money
good.
right now.
It's
No,
not
it's not
very
being
cash money.
received. It's not being received very well.
No, baby, no.
And hopefully,
Yeah.
like I said, they'll do the thing of listening and
Mm-hmm.
changing
Yeah.
Oh
because they
yeah.
need to.
Yeah, they need to pull a No Man's Sky, put your head down and get your ass to work, take notes, listen, learn, change. That's what needs to
Mhm.
happen for this to actually succeed.
Yeah.
Hear, feel, and think. You know, that's all
Yeah.
you got.
Based on all this, like I don't plan on changing from 5e
Yep.
at the moment, but
No?
Yeah. Yeah, we got
No.
till 2024 to see what they do.
Yeah.
And
So,
I think you can play test right now as well. If you look on
Yeah,
the D&D
that's-
website, it says start playtesting today.
Yep.
That's where these
So-
these rules were published from. Was that little PDF that they have out with the playtest, and they're like, "Go play this at your tables."
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we did.
we were fans. So from that, can we just mosey on over to Nexus Mods drama?
Oh, absolutely. More
Absolutely.
tea. More tea.
All right.
Oh,
So
down over there.
Give it
The-
to us.
the 2018 Marvel's Spider-Man game has finally made its way onto PC, and it seems like the most interesting controversy surrounding its port has nothing to do with the game itself, but rather the modding community and sites that host mods. Last week, mod hosting and distribution site Nexus Mods, who we've talked about in the past due to controversial policy changes, they banned a modder and told them to, quote, delete your account and move on. So what happened? What did this modder do that would cause Nexus Mods to leave such a peak internet comment? And where do we go from here? Well, what did they do? They introduced a mod to Marvel's Spider-Man that removed pride flags from the game. More specifically, I want to get very specific here. It replaced the pride flag texture with the texture of the US flag that's in the game. Right? I want to be very specific about what this mod actually does, because there's some things we'll talk about in a second. The mod, which was uploaded by an alleged sock puppet account, was called the Non-Newtonian New York, and Nexus claims that the mod was uploaded to be a deliberate troll account. Quote, had they not been a coward and had they used their main account instead, we would have simply removed the mod and told them that we did not want to host it, they said in a statement. Some internet commenters, all of whom that believe that the word gullible is written on their ceiling, defended the mod author by saying that they were just activating a Middle East localization of the game for their players.
Mm.
But as far as I can tell, and as far as everyone can find, that is just a thinly veiled lie. Mostly based on the fact that you can find pride flags in those localizations of the game, and by the fact the mod replaces a texture and not changes the region lock of a game.
Yeah.
So, no, it doesn't do that. It also, we can tell by two reasons. The localization is not the way that you say it is, and second, it changes a fucking texture. It doesn't activate something else.
Amen.
But you might be asking, though, why does Nexus Mods care, other than the fact that, it was clearly a troll and homophobic ordeal? Well, first off, as a private business and private entity, they have the right to host what they want and have the freedom of association to associate with the people they want or do not want to associate with. If you are mad at Nexus Mods for taking that privilege, that freedom of a private entity, then you can go fuck yourself. Secondly, it says in their file submission guidelines, they say the following, quote, content that may be generally construed as provocative, divisive, objectionable, discriminatory, or abusive towards any real-world individual or group may be subject to moderation. So in their terms of service, they already expressed the right to remove this, other than the fact that they're a private business and they can do whatever the fuck they want. They also said this, quote, in regards to replacement of pride flags in the game or any game, our policy is thus. We are for inclusivity. We are for diversity. If we think someone is uploading a mod on our site with the intent to deliberately be against inclusivity and or diversity, then we will take action against it, end quote. And I'm going to keep my statement here pretty short. And as you could probably tell from my tone, I don't have a lot of sympathy for anyone that's upset by this. Sorry. I don't feel bad for you. And to be pretty honest, if you are upset about this show is probably not for you anyways. not that I don't appreciate you watching the show all the way through to this point only to learn that. Thank you for your view time. But if you my last point is this. If you don't like what Nexus Mods or Mod BD, who also banned it after this, are doing, my answer to you is this. Make your own. Make your own, buy a fucking server. Host the website, make all the UI, moderate it yourself. Make your own. I'm pretty.
You mean like Truth Mods?
I like cunt mods.
Yeah. That's my response to you. Make your own. You fucking
homophobes
crybabies.
Are us.
Yeah. You
like
you fucking crybaby bitches.
Right.
They're a private business doesn't want to associate with the homophobes. This is censorship.
Takes me back to 2008 when people like wouldn't sell cakes to couples.
Yeah.
Very specific couples, or sell wedding licenses to specific couples. I've got an even shorter statement, Danny, and I've talked so much this podcast, so I'm going to keep it nice and sweet. Get fucked, get bent, unfollow me, get the fuck out of my face. Bye. Forever. Bye.
What he said, yeah.
Green, you got anything you want to add?
No, I genuinely agree with everyone. I think Nexus and the other mod website are in the right here. And honestly, if you genuinely believe this, you like that was a bad call, then you're wrong. You're just a horrible person. It is 2022, nearing 2023. This is something that has been an issue in the mind of the social realm for thousands of years. And honestly, I think everyone just needs to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
If it's not hurting you, then leave it the fuck alone. Who were you to like say this is wrong when it's not affecting you? So just shut the fuck up and leave it alone.
Yeah. Q, do you want to have any final thoughts on this?
As a person who's a part of the community, please just get out. Like, just don't do that. Like, games and video games have been such an important part for people who are of diverse communities to feel welcome and to be the people that they want to be, like like D&D, like anything that includes in customization, and to see representation within something that has such a big platform is special to people like that, and to take that away is just downright rude and inconsiderate. So don't do that, and don't be a dick, and respectfully, I will crush you under my left big toe. Get wrecked by a female mate. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
So yeah, I saw this story. I just wanted to clown on some clowns. It is a big deal in terms of like it does affect how you are able to like, you know, what you do with your games. But like I said, if you don't like what Nexus Mods or Mod BD are or aren't hosting, make your own. Make your own. Like that's what people who did this kind of shit were saying for years when people were asking like devs for inclusivity stuff, you know. And yeah, if you don't like the way that a company is doing something, make your own. But let's wrap up the show.
Yeah.
Q, for the kind folks out there who have not met you yet, who are you, what do you do, and where can people find you? And what do you have coming up?
Hi, I'm Quasar.Exe. I stream sometimes. You might not catch me because I work in corporate, so I get tired after working in corporate. But if you do want to come watch and hang out and get some positive vibes and just be nice to each other, at Quasar.Exe on Twitch. I want to stream more. So I'll probably be doing that real soon. And projects coming up. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's really all underground, super, super out there. Heard whispers of it. VRCana, beautiful D&D podcast shown right here on this channel right here. This one right here. And
This one
I
right
think
here?
no,
Right here? This
over a
one
little
right
bit down.
Right.
That one right there. Yep. But yeah. And I think our tentative date is September 2nd. Yeehaw. That's it. Thanks.
Green, what's coming up with you?
Just my same old Hunt, Showdown and some Star Citizen. I know Destiny just came up with a new thing. I'm probably not gonna play Destiny. I'm on like an official hiatus, so if anyone asks me to play Destiny, no, fuck you. But yeah, catch me at twitch.tv/Mr. Elite. And on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, OnlyFans, like everything. Mr. Green.
Mendacii.
Howdy. Yeah, exactly what Quasar said. Be here playing a himbo for VRCana September 2nd. Otherwise, over the weekends when I can fit it in, gonna be doing some Monster Hunter Rise. Otherwise, check the episode description, follow PFTP_plays. That's me and Brent's playthroughs. We're doing a huge survival horror, just marathon of a whole bunch of games, mostly Resident Evil and the Dead Space series. So if you're already craving spooks, you should go and check that out. We're funny sometimes, kind of, maybe give it a shot. But yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, follow me at on Twitter at only Mendacii, and maybe I will type better than I can speak.
Coming up for me, I don't have a stream schedule set this week. I am working on stuff for VRCana. I am working on some other projects. I'll probably try to stream like a little bit on Saturday. Probably do some Hunt Showdown. And yeah, I think that'll probably be me this week. I'm kind of hyper fixating on AI art generation stuff right now. So yeah, that's what I've got. You guys might see me tweeting about that. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter at DannyK, DANIECAE. And anything else before we wrap it up finally?
No, man.
Well, folks, it's we appreciate your time and attention. Of course, we're not just interested in that. We want to hear from you as well. So anything we talked about today, let us know your opinions. And don't forget our question of the week this week, which is what's something that's always that the gamer version is always the worst version of. If you missed any part of the show or want to take us on the go, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you want to join us live, you can find us on Twitch every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on the brand new Next to Nothing Network Twitch channel. If you like what we do, you can drop a like or subscribe on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. Don't forget to drop a comment, of course. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Green Elite, hit him with that Twitter.
At Next to Nothing PC.
Hell yeah. And until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting the good fights, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye!
Bye-bye.
I love you.